New information on Iran's alleged plot to assassinate the Saudi Arabian U.S. ambassador. We're learning more about the checkered past of one suspect, a naturalized American citizen from Iran. And our next guest was briefed by the FBI a couple of times as the investigation was unfolding. He says Iran's fingerprints are all over this operation. Congressman Mike Rogers of Michigan is chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. And Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I certainly realize you can't divulge any kind of intelligence information that might compromise national security. However, are you convinced, based on the information that has been given to you by the FBI, that the Iranian government not only directed but approved this operation? Does it go as high as Ahmadinejad?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Ahmadinejad was not involved in the plot, but the supreme leader may have been involved in the plot. And we know that based on the experience of how the Quds Force has its command and control. So it takes approval. And imagine what kind of an operation this is, Greg. They're talking about a $1.5 million payout to kill somebody in the United States. That's a big operation, an important operation. Lots of places it could go wrong, obviously. And I feel very confident that saying that the senior leadership of the Quds Force was involved, and we know throughout our understanding of the Quds Force that the commander of that unit, Mr. Suleiman, has a direct connection to the supreme leader. Right. So it would be impossible for them to deny that they were involved and didn't have their fingerprints on the approval of an operation like this.
Senator Dianne Feinstein, who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee, says this is not an act of war. Congressman Peter King, who sits on your House Intelligence Committee, disagrees. How do you see it?
Well, I see it as they have certainly crossed the threshold here, and I think this is the most public view of what Iran has been up to for years. And what they've done to our U.S. soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan is criminal. They have blood on their hands. This is the first public's view, I think, of the kinds of lengths that they'll go to commit acts of violence in their political gain. And so I hope we use this as an opportunity to bring the Americans into this notion that, listen, Iran is a huge problem. They are a state sponsor of terrorism. And, oh, by the way, they're pursuing nuclear weapons.
Right. So the question is, what do we do about it? You issued a statement that said the episode underscores the need for concerted international unity to confront Iran. What do you have in mind?
Well, two things. I think our European allies need to do more. They've done some. They need to do more. This is an opportunity for the administration to put a little pressure on our European allies. Listen, if you have contracts into Iran, this is your time to stand up for the international community. It's also a time and a challenge to China and Russia, who have stood in the way of very tough sanctions in Iran. They need to decide, are you on the side of a nation that is trying to kill diplomats in foreign countries, or are you going to stand with the international community? These kinds of sanctions can bring them to their needs.
But Congressman, their history suggests that they're not going to do it.
Well, again, but they haven't been confronted with something this public, this open before. And I tell you, this is a serious threshold, and we shouldn't believe for 1 minute this wasn't a very serious step by a very brazen intelligence service and country who believes that they can kill people in foreign countries. And I think this may be the thing that tips them over. Additionally, we need to pursue the Quds Force operatives in Iraq and Afghanistan that are training the enemy, bringing new weapon systems to the enemy, and trying to kill U.S. troops through those methods.
Well, it's hard to do that when we're removing our forces, but we'll leave that for another day. Congressman Mike Rogers, thanks very much for being with us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.